do, do. Good afternoon, and welcome everyone to another episode of College and Career Pathways, where every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. we provide you with information on various colleges and universities, financial aid resources, technical schools, trade school programs, skilled trade professions, employment opportunities, career exploration, and career readiness skills, all designed to help you make the best career decisions possible. I'm Toni Curitin, your host, and today we will be speaking with a representative from Specs Howard School of Media Arts, and they're going to share some information about the programs that they offer. Chris, welcome to College and Career Pathways.
Thank you. I didn't know I was on like a big TV show, and you didn't warn me about that. I'm all nervous now.
I
Great.
know, Oprah.
I'm so excited. Now I'm going to tell my parents that I'm famous. This is great.
Go ahead and get started in your presentation, Chris.
Perfect. Okay, Toni, Miss Toni, thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Now I'm so nervous because now I feel like everyone's watching me. I feel like I'm Tom Cruise. My name is Chris, and I am the high school advisor as well as part of the admissions team for the Specs Howard School of Media Arts here in Southfield. And I just wanted to meet with you guys and talk to you for a couple of minutes about my story. I went to Specs Howard. I'll tell you about that here in a second. And just give you more information on our school, because Specs Howard, I'm sure Miss Toni is kind of giving you a little bit of information, is a very different school, a very different program. So I just wanted to touch on, what we do and how Specs Howard is different from, say, like a normal school or like a normal four-year college. So give me 1 second to pull up my stuff here. And long story short, I grew up in the Detroit area, and I went to Specs Howard for broadcast media arts. And I've now been working in the radio industry for 18 years as an on-air DJ. I worked at stations like Channel 955, 98.7 Amp Radio, rest in peace, and stations all over the country. And now I'm doing actually 2 radio shows every single day from my house, from this actual microphone you're seeing me talk on right now. So I've had a very blessed journey going from Specs Howard to getting into radio. So I just wanted to show you guys a couple of things about the school and to show you that there are different options out there for you if you're thinking, oh, I don't know if I want to go to school after high school. I don't know if I want to go to college. I don't know if I want to go to a trade school. I just wanted to show everybody that you do have some different options and some different paths you can take. And so we'll kind of give you a little bit of information about the school. And then if you guys have questions, I'm happy to open it up to you and answer questions about the school, about my career and my path that I've taken. But we'll start just with a little bit of history of the school. So Specs Howard, also, I'm going to go a million miles an hour. I apologize. I always do. Miss Toni will back me up on that. I got a lot to say, so we're just going to fly through this. But Specs Howard is a very small media school in Southfield. And this year it's been our 50th anniversary in March, which for a lot of, students is like, well, why do I care about that? The reason you should care about that is because the whole reason you come to a school like Specs Howard is to get out and get a job, doing what you like to do, making what you like to make. That's what we teach students. So if you think about it like that, like this is just a snapshot of our 2020 Hall of Fame inductees, excuse me. So if you look at, this page, there's 50 graduates right here. If you think about it like this, if you go to Specs Howard, you want to get into radio, you want to get into podcasting, TV, film, graphic design, what have you, we have thousands and thousands of graduates out in the workforce who will immediately have your back just because you're a Specs Howard graduate like I am and like they are. So it's just kind of nice to know that you have that Specs Howard, I like to call it the Specs Howard card in your back pocket. So when you go to a company and apply, they might have a GM, the operations manager, the CEO, the person answering the phone might have gone to Specs Howard, and they will go to bat for you. So it's just something to know that when you go to Specs Howard, you do get thousands and thousands of supporters just like that, just for graduating from the school. So I wanted to show you guys just a little glimpse, like a snapshot of what it's like going to Specs Howard from the viewpoint of the instructors you'll be working with. And one thing I want you to take note of as you're watching these videos, and I made sure they're really short because I have an extremely short attention span, so I assume everybody does. So the videos are like 30 seconds long. But you'll notice as we watch these videos, and there's only a couple of them, that you never see students in our classrooms just sitting down like this reading a book. That is not the kind of school we are. So if you're the kind of student that would much rather learn by doing things, getting your hands on things, this is the kind of school that you might want to look into to go to after you finish high school. So watch this first video here really quick. It's like 30 seconds. There we go.
The difference between Specs Howard and a traditional university or college is the hands-on experience that the students get here at this school.
And, by the final week, they're working on these really artistic projects, and I go back and reflect. I say, did you think that 7 weeks ago you would be completing projects like that? And most of the students are like, wow, no way, this is amazing.
Face it, most people don't like their job, and these students are doing something about it to get into a field that they really enjoy.
Somewhere along the line, they learn where their niche is.
I think 10 years ago, this was basically a pipe dream for most people. Nobody would go and say, hey, I think I can actually be a director.
When a student has a breakthrough moment or succeeds, you know that you're part of that process, and you're feeding them something that they're going to be able to grow and expand and earn a living. We get you what you need to enter the field.
You have to let me know, Miss Toni. You guys able to hear that okay? It sounds good?
Sounds great.
Okay, I know we're on live TV, so I want to make sure I get everything right the first time. So perfect. Thank you for that. So like I said at the beginning, this is a very different school and a very different program from like a traditional four-year college, which was the biggest appeal to me. I can't speak on other student stories. I can only speak on mine. But I thought when I was in high school, I always had fun in classes like drama and creative writing and video production and stuff like that. But then when it came to like social studies and history, science, math, that just wasn't my strong suit. And for the longest time, I thought I was stupid. And I'm not trying to get too deep or make it about me because it's not about me, but maybe you can relate to this. Because I was always getting in trouble in class for tapping on desks. And Miss Toni would have hated me in her class because I would have just disrupted constantly. And I had a hard time. I thought I wasn't smart. I didn't know what my deal was. Came out years later. It's pretty obvious. I have ADHD, haven't outgrown it. And I was so frustrated for the longest time until I found Specs Howard. And that's where I, kind of came into my own, and I finished at the top of my class with a 3.95 GPA. I had perfect attendance. I was the first student in my class to get an internship and the first student to get a job. And I'm now this year been inducted into the Specs Howard Hall of Fame. And I don't say that to brag because my case isn't special at all, but I thought I was that stupid hyper kid in high school who wasn't going to amount to anything. And now I've had this very, very blessed, almost 20-year career in radio. So just know if that sounds like you or somebody it's okay. I found out there's things I'm really, really good at. So those are the things I focus on. So one thing that makes a school really, really different, the program's only a year long and then you're done. And again, for somebody like you and me, if you have a really short attention span and the thought of going to school for 4 more years after high school seems very daunting, then this might be a good option for you. So in our program, students are in the classroom 2 days a week. We have day classes or night classes. And the other half of your curriculum is done online. And that is to take place of like a lecture hall. Like maybe you've seen like a TV or a movie where it takes place at a college and there's 300, 400 students in this giant room. And there's a professor about 500 yards away from you in a vest talking about the Pythagorean theorem. And you're thinking, wow, I'm not retaining any of this. I'm very bored. I don't know anybody. That's not how we roll. So the online curriculum is basically to teach you some of the things you'll be doing in class. So let's say you're in the graphic design program. And on Monday in class, we're going to talk about the basics of editing with Adobe Photoshop. So maybe over the weekend in your online curriculum, you might have 2 or 3 articles to read, like a video to watch, like a quiz or a test to take. So when you come into the class on Monday, we're cranking in Photoshop. We're getting our hands dirty and making things and doing things and touching things. We're not talking about them the whole time. That's kind of how we, operate the whole school. We keep our classes really small, 24 students max. Coronavirus stuff and COVID, by the time you guys are coming to school, hopefully things should be mostly back to normal for us. Currently in the shutdown, we don't have students in class. We did up until we shut down the state a couple of weeks ago. We're taking it very seriously, social distancing, masks, all that stuff. But for us being a hands-on school, it is important for us to get students in the classroom. So when we're not able to, what we've been doing is having students come to the school to grab equipment and go out and shoot or go out and edit and record for 4 hours. So you're still able to get that hands-on experience, even though things are a little different. So there's 3 programs at the school we'll touch on. I'll go through them super quickly just to give you just a little taste of each one. And one nice thing about coming to Specs Howard is our new Share program. And in this program, we are going to loan you either a Google Chromebook or a MacBook Pro, depending on which course you enroll in. And that's included in your tuition. That is free. That is part of enrolling at the school. Now, for the least fun part of the presentation, I love this part because everyone's like, whoa, that's a lot of money. It can be a lot of money for a lot of people. However, and this is not to say that Specs Howard is better than a 4-year college, it's a different option, but I'm willing to bet that it is going to be less expensive. And that was one thing that appealed to me because my parents told me, you can go anywhere you want for school or college. You got to pay for it. I was like, yo, okay. So I had to think about it. But the nice thing is this number right here, our tuition of $16,900 is the only number you guys need to know because there are no equipment costs because we have all the equipment at the school, and there are no book costs because we don't use them. So that is the only number you need to know. However, if that number looks daunting and you're thinking, there's no way I can afford that. We have all different kinds of financial situations we run into. We do have financial aid available for those who qualify, as well as a bunch of different scholarships, including this big one. And I don't know, Miss Toni, you remember this from last year, but we do this competition every single year.
Yeah.
And we give away a full ride scholarship to each of our 3 programs, plus 3 partial scholarships to each of our programs. So if you've listened to a few of these presentations and you talked to some other schools and thinking, I don't know, Specs Howard sounds cool. Chris talked way too fast, but like there's that one thing he said that got me really interested. I would really encourage you guys to jump into this competition. This date is wrong, obviously. We've rescheduled this for February because we can't get students into school right now. But we will be giving away a full ride scholarship to each of the 3 programs and a partial ride scholarship. So if you guys are thinking about it, thinking this might interest you, if you're on the fence, I would really encourage you to do this. The link's right there at the bottom. If you need more information, you can have Miss Toni reach out to me and I will get it hooked up for you. But I would definitely encourage you to at least look into it because you could possibly go to school at Specs Howard for free. So something to think about. So we'll cover each of the 3 programs here, like 30 seconds each, and then we'll see what questions you guys have and see if this might be a good fit for you. So our first program, Broadcast Media Arts, is why the school was founded 50 years ago, was to teach students just how to get really good in front of a camera and in front of a microphone. And that's what we're still teaching today. It's obviously super different because there wasn't podcasting and there wasn't YouTube and there wasn't, content creation like that 50 years ago. So now we're focusing a lot on radio, TV, content creation like YouTube, podcasting, things like that. And we get students just really good in front of a microphone and really good in front of a camera. And really in this course, all year long, you're either learning how to be in front of a microphone or a camera, being in front of a microphone and camera, and then editing all your work as well, editing all your own audio, editing all your own video. So I wanted to share with you just like a couple quick clips of some student projects that students created while they were still enrolled in school. So you can kind of get a better idea of the stuff you'll be working on, you'll be making in the Broadcast Media Arts program.
This is independent wrestling, home to some of the hardest working wrestlers in the world. They may look like guys in colorful spandex. These are some legitimate tough guys. Let's get it on.
SpexRadio.com, radio without barriers. Presenting the Darcel Daily Show each and every Monday night.
Oh, yes, it was a nice party.
96.9 WSHS, Southfield's pure classic rock. Hey, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, you should be following 96.9 WSHS.
So when you see that gentleman there in the radio station, that's SpexRadio.com, our in-house radio station. That's broadcast worldwide online. And if you're a broadcast student, you will be in there doing live shows, which for me was like the coolest thing ever because you get to talk to people around the world. So I thought that was really cool. Our second program is Digital Media Arts, and Digital Media Arts just focuses completely on video. So if you think of what we just saw with Broadcast Media Arts, take the performance aspect out of it. This is more for students that just really desire to be behind the camera and create and make things. So in Digital Media Arts, we'll teach you 3 things and teach you how to do them really, really well and do them over and over and over so they become like muscle memory to you. And that is coming up with the idea for the video. So that might be writing, storyboarding, what have you, scripting. The second part is actually filming. So that's setting up the camera, setting up all the lighting kits, the sound. If it's a a clip-on lavalier microphone, a boom mic, a shotgun mic that you hold like on a pole, we'll teach you how to do all that stuff. Get all the actors in the right place. Make sure the lighting is correct if you're indoor or outdoor. And then finally, editing all that video in Adobe Premiere. We spend a lot of time on editing because you might be this just killer videographer, but when it comes to editing, if you can't make it look like just sleek and sleek and sexy, then that's going to hurt you. So what we do is teach you how to do both of them really, really well. And then we touch in Adobe After Effects a little bit as well. And that's to give students more of the ability to do maybe like a spinning logo at the beginning of a video or like a news ticker like you would see on like a news channel or Sports Center, something like that. So I'll show you a couple of clips here from our Digital Media Arts students. And keep in mind, in these clips, you would be the student behind the camera running the show as opposed to the person or persons in front of the camera. So it's a little different. literally seen that video 100 times and I laugh every time because I feel so bad for that guy getting his face bashed into the window. But those might be other students in your class that you're filming with. So it's still something to keep in mind. And our final program, graphic design, for the most part, pretty self-explanatory, but I always explain graphic design as anywhere you see a brand visually. If it's the logo, on my t-shirt, if it's this giant Lady Gaga poster behind me, I do that every time. Behind me, someone had to design those and make those. They didn't just appear out of nowhere. So if you see a logo on a coffee mug or a billboard, or maybe, like a static logo on a TikTok video or the corner of a YouTube video, someone had to design those and make those. And in graphic design, we'll get students creating really anything that you can envision in your head. We can help you create it digitally. And one big preconceived notion about graphic design is that you have to be a good artist in order to be a good graphic designer. That is false. I could not draw anything to save my life. Not if my life depended on it, but I'm pretty good at graphic design, and our students get really good at it because we just hammer them with all this knowledge in Adobe Photoshop, InDesign, and Illustrator. You don't need to know how to draw to create this stuff. It might help you to visualize some stuff and lay some things out in your head. But as you'll see here with a couple of examples, these students get really good at making this stuff. And we'll also teach students web design through WordPress, because what happens a lot of times, if you get hired as a graphic designer, the brand or the company might say, okay, cool, can you do our website as well? They just expect you to know how to do that. So we will teach you that as well. So you'll see here a couple of examples of some graphic design projects, everything from posters to video game inserts to book covers and all kinds of things. All right. So just a couple of things to wrap up about the school. Again, the program's only a year long. There's only those 3 programs to choose from. And one really nice thing about the school is that we're enrolling new classes almost every single month. So it's not like a normal 4-year college where you enroll in the spring or the fall, or you miss out for 6 months. For us, we start classes almost every single month. So let's say you graduate in June and you're just dead set on getting into digital media arts and getting your hands on some cameras. We probably have a class starting that month, if not the next month. It's almost every single month. Also, I get asked a lot of times about, what does Specs Howard require for a student to enroll? What do you need to have in order to get into this school? And that is a really simple answer, and one that really served me really well, is that you need to be a high school graduate with a high school diploma or a GED or an equivalent to that. And that is it. We don't look at GPAs. We don't look at ACT scores or SAT scores. Thank goodness for me, because I might have not gotten into Specs Howard and had this amazing radio career. But that's really all we require, for students to enroll in the school. So Miss Toni, I hope my TV debut was amazing. But that being said, I'm happy to open it up to questions that you might have, or students or coworkers that I can answer about the school. I'm happy to elaborate on anything for you.
It was an excellent presentation, Chris. Awesome. I do want to know, you said no matter which of the 3 programs you select, it's still a 1-year program, correct?
That is accurate.
Okay, so how many courses are you allowed to take within your selected vocation at a time?
Sure. So only one at a time, and we don't allow students to attend another school at the same time as well. And the only reason for that being is that, this is a full-time gig. I know it's only 2 days a week in class and 2 days a week online, but you do the math, and you're just shy of about 40 hours a week of, education and stuff like that. So if you enroll in broadcast media arts, that's your course for the year. Each semester you'll have 2 classes, and there's 3 semesters. They're 16 weeks each with a week off in between, and then 2 weeks of Christmas, if I'm doing my math right. And that's your course for the year. Occasionally we do get students that'll come back for like a second course, and we've only had a handful of students. Lawrence, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. A handful of students that'll come back for a 3rd course. That's pretty rare. For me, you guys can tell I'm always in a rush, and I just wanted to get into school and get out and start making money. And I just wanted to get into radio and be famous. I'm not going to lie. That's really was my reason. I wanted to talk to people and help people and everything. So for me, it was not something that crossed my mind, but we do have some students do that. Another question we get asked kind of on that tip, Miss Toni, is do our credits transfer to other schools? We do have articulation agreements with a couple different schools, including Rochester University, Madonna, some other ones. So our credits may transfer depending on what school you go to. That being said, I get asked a lot as the high school advisor talking to parents and counselors and teachers and educators, to get into this field or to these fields, I should say, do you need a bachelor's degree? Do you need a 4-year degree? And my answer to that, if I'm being really frank with you guys, is it depends. In radio, I've had 10, 12 radio jobs in 18 years. I've never once been asked for my degree. They always ask, where'd you go to school? What does your work, in my case, sound like? And who do you know? And that's it. The catalyst to that, I would say, is if you are thinking about getting into television, a journalism degree might help you. But as far as getting into radio or podcasting or videography, digital media arts and graphic design, it depends. Would a 4-year degree help you? Possibly. It would never hurt you, obviously. And I never deter students from not following and furthering their education. But it's not necessarily necessary. And we have a really solid, really, really good career services department that'll help, get students leads to their entry-level job and then for the rest of their career. And that department's open to you forever as a Specs Howard graduate.
So then when you complete your program, what type of certification will you receive?
Sure. So you will get a certification in the course of your choosing. So in my case, I'm certified in radio and TV broadcasting. Digital media arts is the same and graphic design is the same. And I think it kind of goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, having that Specs Howard card in your back pocket. I think that's a big reason. And I don't brag on the school a lot. I like to just be honest with people and give them the information. I love the school because I went here and I work here now. But I think that's really important, having that built-in team, one, of the career services advisors having your back, and two, other Specs graduates. When you find another Specs graduate, they're like, oh, no way, I went to school there in 99 or, what have you. So I think that's a big help, especially in the Michigan area. I mean, we have graduates all over the world. A buddy I went to school with actually does radio in Dubai, and he's from Detroit. We have students all over the country. But I think having that Specs Howard card, quote unquote, in your back pocket can be a big help.
Good deal. And when you complete your coursework for your year program, what is the completion rate of your people that enroll to actually complete and find themselves working in the industry?
Sure. So I don't have that number off the top of my head. I will tell you that most students that enroll do finish the program because it's fun and it's different. When I find students that, and again, I'm not on the education staff, I'm kind of just watching from afar, and I've been through all this.
Sure.
I find that students that don't succeed at Specs Howard are the ones that think it's going to be easy, or it's just going to be all fun. For me, you and Miss Toni, you know this, and you guys can tell, I could do this all day. Yeah. I could talk to you on this microphone all day, and I'll never run out of things to say. And I could edit audio and video and make music forever. That's what I've done my entire adult life. I haven't had a real job since I was about 19. But some students think, oh, I'm just going to go in there and be on the radio. Just like anything else, it's never that easy. It's a lot of work. It was never hard for me because I love it. It was always a lot of work, but it was never difficult because I enjoy doing this stuff. Okay. So I find the students that don't succeed are the ones that, like at any other school, don't take it seriously.
Sure. Questions from anyone else? I don't want to take up all of the question time.
Do you all help place the students once they're graduated?
Yeah, thank you for your question, Sharonda. I'm Chris. It's nice to meet you. I appreciate it. So our career services department, that is their whole job, is to help students. Starting third semester, we'll help place them in internships if they choose to. It is voluntary. I always highly recommend that because a lot of times it can turn into a job. When I was going to school, I did an internship at Channel 955 here in Detroit. Just doing paperwork, and I got to be in the studio sometimes, but sit in the back and go, oh, I can't wait till I get to be on the microphone. And I did that for a year for free. And that was hard. It was because I didn't get paid and I was paying for school out of pocket. But the day I finished school, they hired me on the spot for their event team. And I've been working in radio ever since. So for a lot of students, I think that's a really, really good option. Depending on where the internship's at, sometimes they're paid, sometimes they're unpaid. That kind of depends on where you go. And then upon graduation, we will help students get leads for jobs for the rest of their career. And we'll do everything up to go to the interview with you. We're not going to hold your hand into the office, into the interview, but up until that point, we'll do pretty much everything. We will help you find the leads, emails, phone numbers. It might be a cool seminar you should attend. I mean, a lot of times we'll even say, oh, you're moving to Grand Rapids, Sharonda? Okay, no problem. I know a guy at WSNX in Grand Rapids. I want to make a phone call for you. When you get there, call him or email him or her or whatever, and then, continue the conversation. So we do a lot of that. And placement for all three of our programs is in the mid to high 70s, which since we're technically considered a trade school, is actually a pretty healthy number. And again, we will do that for you for the rest of your career. So let's just say, I'm just making this up, Sharonda. I'm just going to pick on you because you asked the question. So you're in for it now. Let's say you enroll at Specs Howard and you finish in a year and you want to get into graphic design and you get a job at, I don't know, Chris's Flower Shop in Detroit as their graphic designer. Cool. You're making their website, doing their logos, all that stuff. And then a year you realize, oh, well, me and my family are moving to Toledo, or I want to move to California because it doesn't snow there and the snow here is awful. We have connections there. We have connections all over the country. So you can come back to us for free forever to say, hey, it might be Nancy or it might be Brent, whoever's in the office at the time. Hey, Brent, I'm moving to California. Can you help me? Do you have any connections there? And the answer is always yes. And then we will help you make those connections.
If nobody else is going to speak, I have one more. This is personal. By chance, do you know Dr. Darius or Devin Robinson?
So I've never met, but both of the names are very familiar, which is sad because I've been in radio so long and I've met so many cool people. Dave and Chuck, Mojo, Jay Towers, Blaine and Lauren. I met so many cool people. So I've actually yet to run into them, which is weird. But a big fan. And it's funny because radio is such a small little circle that everyone kind of knows everybody. So on that tip, what I would tell you guys watching is, and I don't say this as like to be spooky and scary, but like you kind of got to be careful who you tick off and who you leave a bad taste in their mouth because it'll come back around, especially in media. Everybody knows everybody. So let's say I've met Dr. Darius. I haven't. Let's say I did, and it was not a good meeting. Trust me, he's going to tell people that I was not cool, and they will then not want to work with me because he said so, because he's got a lot of pull. You know what I mean? Wow. So I think that's really important. But yeah, I'm a big fan.
Chris, how much can a student expect to make starting out in their career once they complete your program?
Sure. So I get asked that a lot, and you're going to find I'm a terrible liar. So I'm just going to be really frank with you because when you lie, you got to remember who you lied to about what, and that's a lot of work, and I'm lazy. But as far as income goes, it literally can go from minimum wage to 6 figures and on. I've made both in radio, but in radio, television, in the film world, graphic design, it's a lot of working your way up. And, how big are the market that you're working in? You probably make more money in Detroit than you would in, say, Traverse City. Not always, but sometimes it's just a bigger market. There's more people here and there's more money. So I hate to say it's all over the place because I feel like that's a cop-out answer. But if I'm being honest, I have to tell you the truth, and that's that it really is all over the place. And I found the students that end up making more money are the ones that are okay making not a lot of money at the start. And they're willing just to grind and grind and grind and grind and work their way up and show people that they're willing to grind. And that's how you kind of succeed in this industry and end up making more money, is show people that you want it, and, do the work, hustle, and, you'll make it.
Okay. Chris, when you complete the program, doesn't matter which of the fields, is the employment more on a gig self-employment situation, or are they actually employed 9 to 5 like at a regular company?
So the answer might be surprising because it's kind of a hybrid. A lot of times in this industry, it's not 9 to 5, but just a normal, 40-hour a week, full job, full week worth of work, excuse me. But almost everybody I know in all 3 of these fields, including myself and most of our instructors and the staff, have side hustles. Okay. I work at the school full time. I do 2 radio shows from my house every day. I DJ weddings on the weekends. I do some voiceover work literally on this microphone. Just because I like doing this stuff, and I want to take advantage of all these opportunities and blessings while I can. It might not always be this good for me, so I want to hustle and just work my butt up as long as I can. So for a lot of people, they end up doing both. Some graduates have found more success doing stuff freelance. Like in graphic design, we kind of focus on photography a little bit. And sometimes students will just end up, being a wedding photographer or an event photographer. And that's what they do. I want to say full time, but that's their full time gig, is doing part time stuff on a full time basis, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Chris, Sharonda asked, "What's your full name?"
So Chris Chalmers is my name. I'll put that in the chat for you there. But if you ever want to check out any of my work, you're welcome to. You can just go to my website. My stage name is Chris Cruz. And I don't say that to promote my stuff because it's whatever. But if you ever want to just, contact me and get more of a feeling for the stuff that graduates are working on and making, I'm happy to share with anybody. So
Good deal. Do we have anyone else who wants to ask a question?
if not, we'll have one of those long, awkward Zoom pauses. I love those. Everyone stares at the camera and just waits and just goes like this.
I know.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Rosanna. I was just curious if a student decides, like, let's say they pick one of the programs and then they do a semester and then decide they want a different one. Do people do that?
They do. I advise against it because you have to start over from scratch. And the reason for that being, if you think, like, let's say you're going to trade school for, like, to be a motorcycle mechanic, but you decide you want to get into the boat mechanics area, you definitely have to start over. So for us, it's the same thing because the three programs are so different. So I try to advise against that. And that's part of my job at the school, is really to, dig into students' brain and find out what they really are interested in, what they really want to do, what they see themselves doing. Because we're never like, enroll today. It's like, hey, let's find out if this would be a good fit for you. Because this school definitely isn't a good fit for everybody. For someone like me who likes making stuff, I would go to Specs Howard again in a second. I really, truly would, because I love this stuff. So it's kind of our job in admissions to make sure that we be a good fit for the student, and that the student be a good fit for the school as well.
Good deal.
So if let's say someone did though decide to change their mind, is it the full tuition for the first program and then they have to pay the full tuition for the second one?
Sure. So I don't want to give too long of an answer because that's not my department, and I'm really good at telling people things I don't know. But that being said, you pay, I believe, and don't quote me on this, that you're paying like per semester, I believe it is. So you would go back and start, the full program from there. But like, most students don't walk in and say, hey, here's $16,900. I'm going to school. Boom, let's go. A lot of students have a combination of some kind of like, payments. Some students get help from financial aid. Some students are able to get different scholarships that we offer. But if you were to, let's say you go into the broadcast media arts program and you're in it for 3 months, that's what you would pay for, is the 3 months, not the full amount. Again, don't quote me on that, and I can get you a more specific answer if that instance ever happens. But we find it's pretty rare. That doesn't usually happen a lot, that students come in and want to go into a different program. That's not something that happens very often for us.
Okay, thanks so much.
Of course, you're welcome.
Chris, I'd like to ask also, with regards to the coursework, if there are students that have difficulty, are there opportunities for them to receive tutoring to help get them through their difficult area so that they'll be successful?
Right. Yeah. I love when people ask this question. This is something I'm really passionate about. We have students with all kind of different learning situations and social situations. It's really all over the board for us. So we have a whole student success department that will help those students. I get asked a lot about IEPs. We do student success can work with those, and they're literally in the building just to help students succeed. I know that's kind of a silly pun on the name, but that's what they're there for. If a student finds out they might need more time than a student that has a different situation than they do, we can work on that. Or if they're having kind of, any issue in school, we can work on that as well. So, that's a big part of what we do. And we find that a lot of students with like a certain learning situation who maybe found they couldn't have succeeded at a 4-year college, or, I would say a quote unquote normal learning environment. For us, it's so different because it's so much hands-on and kind of, in person and learning by doing things as opposed to being told how to do them, that we find a lot of students that feel like they may not be able to succeed are.
That's awesome, Chris. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You guys, any other questions?
Oh, there's that long, awkward Zoom mute.
Okay, then.
Kenny, you're welcome. Thanks so much. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you.
Well, I think we will conclude this presentation. It was excellent, Chris. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I know this information is going to be so helpful to all of our students and other staff members. And Chris, I will reach out and talk to you again, and maybe we can do this again.
Well, next time, please warn me if we're going to be on TV, because I would have worn like a suit coat or something. You know, it's like, oh, that's the guy from Specs Howard in a t-shirt.
Oh, stop it. You were fine.
Thank you. You're so sweet. I appreciate your time. It was good to speak with you and to meet everybody else. And if you guys have any questions, you're always welcome to have Miss Toni reach out to me, and I'll connect. Happy to, talk more about the school, answer your questions, or speak with a family member. That's kind of part of my job at the school. So I'm happy to help however I can when you are ready.
Good deal. Good deal. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Cool. Thank you, Miss Toni. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.